Hi, welcome back to Joe Sins Rarest Photos. I wanted to share a preview of a documentary that I'm going to be doing on Elvis. And of course, it wouldn't be complete unless we talk about Priscilla. And, since we're reading the book Childbride, I figured I would start off with a little teaser for y'all. This is not a super long video, but for all of you members, all you subscribers, all that leave super thanks, I wanted to do something for you.
The Illusion of a Fairy Tale, Priscilla Presley and Her Dark Legacy. For decades, the public was sold a fairy tale, the story of a king and his beautiful young bride. But behind the polished surface of glamour and Graceland charm lay a reality far more troubling. Suzanne Finstad's Childbride tore away the veil of fiction, exposing the manipulative, self-serving, and ultimately damaging role Priscilla Presley played in the life and legacy of Elvis Presley. Priscilla Presley was just 14 years old when she set her sights on Elvis, a global superstar who had little idea of the intricate web he was walking into. While their early meetings seemed innocent, Childbride paints a far more calculated picture of Priscilla and her parents, who saw Elvis as their golden ticket to fame and fortune. Her move into Graceland at 17 wasn't just a gesture of young love, it was a strategic positioning of control. From the outset, Priscilla's behavior at Graceland was marked by manipulation. Behind closed doors, she played the role of the submissive companion, while in private she maneuvered herself deeper into Elvis's world, often causing rifts among his inner circle and raising eyebrows with her demands. Elvis, loyal and generous to a fault, failed to see the long-term consequences of keeping her in his life. Their marriage in 1967 was heralded as the ultimate rock and roll union. But in truth, by the time Elvis walked down the aisle, the romance had faded. According to Finstad's research, Elvis felt trapped. He had made a promise not out of passion, but out of obligation and public expectation. And it would be a promise that cost him dearly. The fairy tale wedding was followed by an emotionally distant union. Elvis, known to be deeply spiritual and artistically driven, struggled to find intimacy in a marriage he no longer believed in. Priscilla, meanwhile, maintained the image of the doting wife while pursuing her own desires away from the public eye. Affairs began to define her time in the marriage. According to Finstad, Priscilla engaged in multiple relationships during her marriage to Elvis, notably with her karate instructor Mike Stone. This betrayal cut Elvis deeply, sending him into an emotional tailspin from which he would never fully recover. What stings most in retrospect is not only that Priscilla betrayed Elvis emotionally, but that she monetized her connection to him long after the love was gone. After their divorce, she received a substantial financial settlement, but in a stunning move of greed, she filed a lawsuit against Elvis, accusing him of fraud, despite already being handsomely compensated. This legal attack came at a time when Elvis was struggling both professionally and personally for a man who had given so freely to so many. This betrayal by someone so close was especially devastating. It painted Priscilla not as a wronged woman, but as a ruthless opportunist. Elvis, ever the gentleman, never publicly disparaged Priscilla even as he suffered under the weight of their broken marriage. He shielded her reputation. But privately, friends recalled the deep pain he carried, a sorrow that had less to do with the divorce itself, and more with the cold calculation he saw in her eyes. After Elvis's death in 1977, Priscilla capitalized even further. She quickly took control of Graceland's business affairs, using Elvis's legacy to build her own fame and wealth. Yet many who were close to Elvis questioned her motives, noting that her business decisions often clashed with the very values Elvis held dear. In a particularly egregious move, Priscilla took money from Lisa Marie Presley's estate, her own daughter's inheritance, without Lisa's knowledge. The betrayal came to light when Lisa Marie later sued both Priscilla and Barry Siegel, her financial manager. accusing them of mismanagement and siphoning funds meant for Lisa's future. The lawsuit filed by Lisa Marie showed just how deep the wounds ran. Lisa felt robbed, not just financially, but of her birthright. Elvis had worked his whole life to build a legacy for his family. And now the very people he had once trusted were the ones draining it away. The court case laid bare the extent of the financial manipulation. Documents revealed transactions and arrangements that benefited Priscilla disproportionately. What began as a mother-daughter conflict quickly turned into a national headline, yet another stain on Priscilla's already controversial role in Elvis's story. Through all of this, Priscilla maintained a carefully crafted public image. She positioned herself as Elvis's great love, a grieving widow who had risen from the ashes. But those who knew the truth, those who had seen what Elvis endured, knew better.
The truth, as detailed in Childbride, is that Priscilla played a pivotal role in the decline of Elvis Presley. Her presence brought with it not just emotional instability, but legal entanglements and financial strain that would haunt Elvis until his death. Elvis was a man of deep feeling, great generosity, and unparalleled talent. He gave all he had to his music, to his fans, to his family. But in return, he was too often used and misunderstood, especially by those who claimed to love him the most. Finstead's work does not portray Elvis as flawless. He had his demons. But it makes clear that many of those demons were exacerbated by the toxic influence of Priscilla. Her ambition, her betrayals, and her lawsuits took their toll on a man who only ever wanted to share his gifts with the world. Even in death, Priscilla's grip on his estate has remained controversial. Decisions she made regarding Elvis's image and legacy were not always made with reverence, but often with profit in mind. To many fans and family members, this was a final insult. Lisa Marie, Elvis's beloved daughter, was caught in the middle, used as a pawn in the financial battles waged by her own mother. Her trust was violated, her inheritance drained. The court records speak for themselves. This wasn't just about money, it was about betrayal. The myth of the loyal wife and grieving widow no longer holds. The true story is far more tragic. Elvis gave Priscilla everything: fame, fortune, and a place in history. But what he received in return was disloyalty, manipulation, and cold ambition. Even his fans continue to revere the king of rock and roll. The woman who once shared his name is no longer viewed with universal admiration. Time has exposed the truth, a truth that Childbride bravely brought to light. Elvis never stopped caring about others. He gave to charities, helped friends in need, and stayed humble in the face of unimaginable fame. He was a man who loved deeply, suffered quietly, and gave generously, even when those closest to him did not deserve it. The tale of Priscilla and Elvis is not one of a fairy tale romance. It's a cautionary story about power, deception, and the price of trusting the wrong person. And above all, it is a story of a man whose greatness could not be diminished, even by betrayal. Elvis's legacy lives on, not because of Priscilla, but in spite of her. His music, his kindness, and his timeless charm have withstood the damage others tried to inflict. He remains the king, adored by millions, untouched by the schemes of those who once tried to control him. Let this be the story we tell, not of a fairy tale marriage, but of a man who rose above heartbreak, who gave more than he received, and who remains forever the greatest entertainer the world has ever known.
Well, if you made it to the end, I appreciate you. It took a while for me to write this script, but I've got about 25 other scripts that I'm ready to continue putting into production. I've already got 6 into production. TCB TLC, this is Joe Sins, Rare Photos. Thanks again.